All right, let's do it.
We're back.
Woo!
Woohoo, everybody. Welcome back to Terror and Tacos. I'm Christy.
I'm Michael.
And we talk about horror movies.
Yes.
And eat tacos.
We do.
Sometimes. We didn't get to eat tacos this time because, just life is happening.
Yeah, it's like the new year,
It's
all
so weird.
going crazy.
Everything's weird. Like, I get really excited about shit and then I'm like, oh, we have other things. I have other things I have to do.
Yeah.
And then, it's like time is lost.
Yeah, it's very difficult to do. I mean, yeah, we got everything. It's just so weird too because the world is still on fire, but also they're like, you got to go to work.
You got to go to work and you got to do things
Yeah.
and you got to produce and you got to do all this stuff. And it's like, sometimes I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
So today's Friday. We're recording on a Friday and I am drinking a booze.
Yeah. Is that a fancy rosé? What is
It's
that?
a fancy rosé, sparkling rosé out of a can, y'all.
Yeah.
Because I like to keep it classy.
That's what everyone says about you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're back. I mean, New Year's was cool. I guess it was very laid back.
Come on, rock intro, stop.
We hung out outside and did a thing, and I was deemed the cosmic egg, and that's really working out.
What is that about?
I still don't know.
I swear,
it's
like
gonna come to me in a dream.
So Aspen, no, it was Lydia.
It was Lydia.
Yeah, our friend Lydia has these like spirit animal cards.
Yeah.
And she decided last minute that she was going to draw our spirit animal cards for everybody who was at this gathering. And it was a small gathering. We were like 8 people or something like that. And
we were hanging out around the fire pit, even though it was like 78 degrees in Dallas.
Yeah, but you still got to have a fire pit.
Yeah.
It's Christmas. No, it's not Christmas. It's New Year's.
Same thing.
And you got the cosmic egg.
Cosmic egg, the only spirit card.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was
I feel like
about.
it's gonna, at some point it will reveal itself.
Yeah, the first thing that occurred to me was that you were like a xenomorph egg.
Yes, that's what I picture.
Yeah,
so
that's what I
maybe
picture too.
that's where I'm going.
I got the scorpion.
Which is all badass.
Also a badass German heavy metal band.
Yes.
That I love.
Man.
So
yeah, it was just
I love
funny.
the Scorpions.
Because of all people to get some sort of cosmic woo-woo card, it's the fact that it's me was hilarious.
So speaking of not finding the will to live,
Sure.
or do anything, or go on. We watched a really interesting movie this week.
Yes.
That I actually really love.
Still thinking about it.
Me too. It was one of those movies that when it goes to blackout at the end, I had to sit there for a while and be like,
Yeah.
Do I love this or do I not love this? I love it.
Yeah. And do I love all of it? Maybe not. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do
And
I understand everything? Probably not.
That's okay. I want to talk about that too. So let's tell the people what we watched.
Yeah, we watched
Lamb.
out of Iceland.
Those Nordies, man.
Man, they are...
Nordies, Scandies. What do you call that region of the world?
Iceland, they are not technically Scandinavian, but they are Nordic. So
can we just say like the Nordic part of the world?
Yeah, because that would include Scandinavia as well.
And listen, like what this filmmaker is doing is nothing new. Like the Nordic people, Nordic films, Nordic film tradition is it's slow storytelling.
Sure. And usually heavily visual.
Right.
And very sparse dialogue.
Right. And this is what this is.
Yeah.
And it's really beautiful. Tell us about Lamb.
Lamb the movie or Lamb the animal?
Why are those two things mutually exclusive?
I was going to say,
those
because
things are not?
We didn't eat tacos today.
Right, we didn't.
So it seemed horrible for me to be like, one of the best meals I had when I was in Iceland was lamb stew. Yeah, sorry.
No, but it seems appropriate too.
Yeah,
for this film.
Yeah, it was one of the first. I mean, they love a stew over there, and one of the first meals I had when I was in Reykjavik was lamb stew out of a bread bowl, and it was fucking incredible.
Yeah. So like, did you carry it around, or was it like sit down in a pub?
It was like sit down in a little restaurant
or whatever.
Yeah, and I actually had lamb multiple times because honestly, that's
what they're famous for.
That and seafood, and I don't eat seafood.
Right.
So, Aspen did all the seafood stuff, and I was like, I'm just gonna have this lamb stew because it's fucking incredible.
Right.
And if it's in a bread bowl, I mean, come on, that's even a bonus.
Yeah, bread's delicious.
So yeah, I mean, this movie features more sheep than it by far more sheep than humans.
Yeah, absolutely. I myself have never had lamb. I'm a meat eater. I don't have a problem with that. Something about eating a baby animal.
Sure. Yeah, it seems horrible.
I've never been able to do that. We have a thing called cabrito, which means it's like baby goat or little cat. It's literally translates to calf. Right. And cabrito is like a baby goat. And you go to the grocery stores in South Texas and you see the baby goats in the meat chests, right? And they're like, their teeth. I mean, it's just, and as an 8-year-old,
it's horrifying.
You're just like, I don't want to eat a baby anything.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I couldn't tell you the last time I had lamb whilst in the United States. It was just
that's where you were in Iceland. So.
Yeah, and it was such a part of their of the cuisine over there.
Right. I'm not judging.
And so I was like, yeah, and it was delicious. I'm sorry, baby lamb.
You were so good.
You were delicious.
You were delicious.
You were worth the krona that I spent on you. Yeah, I mean, so first spoilers.
Yeah, I guess spoilers.
This movie is so weird. I don't know that we could spoil it.
Well, I don't think you can. I mean, from the very first scene.
Yeah.
I turned to John and I said, "It's coming back."
Yeah,
it's coming back. I don't know when, I don't know how, but that thing is coming back.
Yeah, and I think even that seems to be sort of pervasive in Nordic and Scandinavian filmmaking. Man, it is not it's never going to end well.
It's not going to end well. So we have a couple, Maria, and I can't remember his name. Ingvar, and their daughter. It always starts with someone's baby.
Yeah.
Their daughter, Ada Ingvar's dottir.
Yeah.
Is not, you learn later on, but you get the feeling that this is a couple who live in a remote area of Iceland. They are sheep farmers. You get a long sequence, long for film language. You get a long sequence of the daily ins and outs
of farming
sheep, you know, and it's all shot really beautifully.
Yeah.
It's compelling to watch. It's not boring. It's a long sequence with no lines.
Yeah.
Just watching them.
There's not a spoken line of dialogue other than on the radio for
I don't know, 20 minutes?
I mean, a long time.
20 minutes. And you can tell that this couple loves each other, but they're not happy.
No.
They're just kind of surviving.
Right. And the first conversation they have between themselves, which is even very short. There's barely any dialogue in this movie.
Right.
Is about time travel. And he talks about the theoretic, they think time travel is theoretically possible. And you could travel into the future. And the first thing she says is,
I want to go by
the past.
Yeah. I want to go
and so
back.
you know.
Right.
If you're paying attention, they lost a kid. They lost a child.
And then I think one of the next conversations they have is something about folk tales.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're watching a TV show and she's like, what did he say? And he's like, something about
folk tales. Literally they're just kind of meh.
Yeah. They're just sort of meh. And
of course, we may not have context here in the United States, but if you are from that part of the world, then you know that myths and legends and folk tales in that area are super important.
Yeah.
And are woven into everyday culture.
Yeah.
So for someone to be meh, it's just something about folk tales.
Right.
Then you kind of get the feeling that, okay, they're not paying attention to something.
And at the same time, one of the most interesting things I thought was this starts on, we're sort of jumping around, but it starts on Christmas Day.
It never gets dark. Man.
No, and honestly, like even when we were there, it's the strangest thing. I mean, when you would be out at 11:30 at night and it would look like 5 o'clock here.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
That was one of the things about the film that it wasn't off-putting. It was just, that was one of the things that for me made me.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And it's like what Ari Aster does in Midsummer when he's like, what time is it? And the guy's like, it's 9:30. He's like, no, it's not.
Right.
It's very strange.
I interrupted you. You were going to say something
I was going to say, so you have this, like, I think from the get-go, you have this like folk tale aspect of Iceland.
Right.
But it is also Christmas. And
oh, yeah.
You have, it's an interesting country. And again, I'm no expert. I have been there and read a lot about it. But like, you have such a sort of, this is like the fucking place where the Vikings were.
Right.
But then you also have two huge influxes of Christianity. The first, being early Christians who came.
Yeah.
And then the Lutherans came. And so you could be in Iceland now and be in the smallest town you've ever seen. And chances are there's still a Lutheran church at the center of it. And so you like instantly have, to me, like one of the main dichotomies of this land and of this movie. They are clearly Christian. I mean, she makes the sign of the cross.
Oh, yeah. She does it a few times.
They're eating their Christmas meal. You have sort of a miracle birth. Right.
And this is, this is also a place where, for real, isn't there something where people go like, well, you got to ask the fairies if you can build here?
Yes. Then there's still, again, like,
so this is a culture that is still very much steeped in the old ways.
Even people who don't believe in it still go through the process. Right. And so you have, a really interesting dichotomy from the start. And so, it's Christmas.
The sheep are
giving birth.
Yeah. The first thing we see before the sheep are giving birth, we see a scene where they're putting the sheep in the barn. Right. And the sheep begin to get upset.
Yes.
There's like a presence.
Yes.
Like something is in the barn.
You should have been listening to these sheep, y'all.
Yeah, man.
Come on, man.
Oh my God. I kept going, that kitty's the only one who knows.
Yeah.
So the sheep are alone.
Yes.
In the barn.
Sheep are doing the work in this film, y'all. Come on.
I said that to John. I turned to John. I said, those are good sheep actors, man.
They carry significant portions of this movie.
It's true. And something comes into the barn and you hear one sheep in distress.
Yeah.
And they don't show you anything, but you know what's happening.
Yeah.
And then a period of gestation happens. I don't know how long it takes for sheep to gestate.
Sure.
But then it's Christmas and the sheep are giving birth.
Yeah.
And they show this couple delivering the sheep and they're just kind of going through it. And then one of the sheep is just having trouble. And they help the sheep, the ewe, deliver her lamb. And it is strange.
Yes.
And it is so effective because they don't show you the lamb for a long time.
No.
They just show you the head.
You see the lamb that just looks like a baby lamb.
It's always covered.
But you see an exchange
between them.
So something's up.
Not right with the lamb.
So what is not right with the lamb, Christy?
The lamb is, I don't even want to say anthropomorphic because it's like half lamb, half human.
Yes.
Like half person.
Half little kid.
Yeah. And half little kid.
Yes.
It's got like one kid arm and one lamb arm, and then it walks upright, and it has a lamb head.
And it dresses like they dress it like a
little baby, and they call it Ada.
Yes,
and they there's no discussion amongst them, or if there was a discussion, it's not shown to us.
Right.
They both decide we're gonna
raise this lamb.
We're gonna raise this lamb like our child.
Yes, and
I think it's more like, I think she immediately goes, I'm going to take care of this lamb. and he sees that she's happy.
Yeah, and so he goes along
So he
with
goes,
it.
okay.
And there's no, and we'll get to it when the brother shows up. We don't know as an audience at this point if we are seeing the lamb simply through their perspective, like they're fucking insane and they see this lamb as a half baby.
Right. Or if it is a half baby.
Like, we don't know.
We don't know. Like, they could just be nuts, y'all.
Sure. But it doesn't do a thing where, like, we see the half baby when they're with it and then we cut away and cut back and it's just a lamb. Like, that never happens.
That never happens.
Whenever we see this lamb, it's half baby lamb.
Half baby lamb.
So, yeah. And
So for a long time before we are introduced to the third character.
that's my boy.
You've talked to him, right?
Via Twitter, yes.
Nice.
Yes.
We don't know.
No.
We don't know what's going on. The other animals on the farm are suspect. They're super suspicious.
Yeah, they're like, what's up?
Yeah, the dog is. I mean, the dog goes along with it because it's a dog, and
Right.
you know.
But even the dog at times is like,
it's like, what is going on?
What is going on?
The cat is
the cat
kind of like
knows.
the cat is looking at Look, there's one scene where the Ada is sitting at the table eating breakfast, I guess.
Yeah.
And the cat is sitting across from Ada and just kind of like staring.
Yeah.
And you're like, that cat knows.
That cat knows some shit is up.
And then the you.
See that? Oh, man.
That made me really sad.
Oh,
And,
it's very upsetting.
For a while, I was on the side of Maria, the mother. I was like, I get it, man. Like, hey, you know,
You gotta do what you gotta do.
This is a movie about being different. Maybe I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
but so the you that gave birth to Ada knows that Ada's missing. Her baby's gone, and she knows where the baby is, and so that you will not shut up.
Right.
She goes so far as to leave the barn and hang out under the window of the house where they keep the baby, where the baby's crib is, where Ada's crib is. And she's just like day and night, meh, 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 like, I want my baby.
Yeah.
Like any mother would be.
Sure. To the point where then Maria, who is played by Numi Rapace, I believe, is her last name.
I always want to say rapace. It's like Italian to me.
Well, honestly, this is so funny that you say that. I looked it up. That's not her real name. She picked it, and she picked it because of that.
Because it's Italian?
And Spanish, and her dad was Spanish. And so it might be rapace.
Because I've said in the past rapace, and people, they're like, it's not rapace, it's rapace. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's an Italian
So I
name.
read about her, like, she's also like this. I mean, she's in Prometheus. You've seen her in films.
Yeah. She's like the girl with the dragon tattoo.
The original,
like the original one.
Because she was born in Sweden, raised in Iceland, had a Spanish. She speaks 6 fucking languages.
Yeah.
So she chose it. That's not her name.
Right.
She chose it. So I think it probably is Rapace.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's finally like, well, I gotta fucking kill this.
Yeah.
You.
In the middle of the night, everybody's asleep.
Dude, that scene is fucking
It's brutal. It's brutal. And to add to it, because it's also like, it looks like it does right now. It looks like daytime.
Sure.
But she wakes up in the middle of the night and the U is right outside her window.
Man,
and
you
she's
imagine
like,
never having to do a nighttime shoot.
Oh my God.
You just shoot whenever.
I guess.
Yeah.
That would be great. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That's pretty awesome. Anyway, so she gets up and, oh my God, there's Roxy, y'all. And she goes to the rifle closet or whatever.
You gotta have a rifle closet.
You gotta have a rifle closet. And she picks out a rifle and she goes outside and she just fucking, sorry, spoilers, she shoots the U in the head.
It's brutal.
It's brutal.
And then she buries it.
Drags it out into a meadow. And buries it.
Yeah. And this coincides with the arrival of our third main character, who is
Peter.
Yeah, Ingvar's brother.
Right. Who's like an 80s rock star.
Fucking A. I love it.
I love it. It's so random.
Yeah. And the first time you see him, he's getting thrown out of a car.
Yeah. This is part of what I also love about the movie is that you never know where it's going to go. Like,
Right.
you don't know. The first time you see the woman who's driving the car, you're like, oh shit, something bad's gonna happen. She looks evil.
Right.
And it just turns out that
She's barely in it.
She's barely in it. Like, they drop them. It cuts to like this car coming down this like, super remote Icelandic highway or whatever. It stops. They take this guy out of the trunk, throw him out of the trunk, throw his cell phone out into the road.
Yeah.
And then they leave.
And then they leave. And they just leave him there.
They just leave him there. And it turns out that it's Ingvar's
brother.
Peter.
And he happens, so he's like in the middle of nowhere. He walks to the farm.
You get the feeling that he's kind of like a loser.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he knows what she's done.
Right.
Okay, so then we introduce him, who is played by a guy named Bjorn Haraldsson, and I just have to... he's on my favorite Icelandic show, and once I tweeted at him, and he was like the nicest dude ever. He was like, "Oh, Michael, that's so nice to hear." And
those
blah, blah,
European
blah.
actors are super cool.
Yeah,
Remember
they're
the
so
guy
nice.
from Caveat?
Yes.
Who like tweeted you back?
Yeah.
Or, responded to our Insta?
Like a normal person,
Yeah.
like a human. So he rolls in, and this is the first time, because we've now have an outside figure, right?
Right.
He's like... I think he literally has the line, "What the fuck is happening?"
Yeah. It's just, the way they handle it is just so great because nobody loses their mind ever. But you can see it's like there is something wrong happening here. And he tells his brother exactly
Yeah, he's
that.
like,
What
this
the
is
fuck
an
is going on?
animal. What the fuck are you doing?
And, because he sits down to have dinner.
Yeah.
Like, and I think this is the first time that he sees Ada.
Uh-huh.
They sit down to have dinner.
And they put out a chair for her.
They put out a chair for her. Then Ada comes in and he is like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And whatever. And then later on, like he's just not down with it. He can't get with it. And his brother says, we're happy. Like Maria is happy for the first time.
Yeah.
So fuck you.
Yeah,
like,
if you
better
stay
step back.
here,
yeah, you're gonna have to deal with it.
Deal with it. And and then it's really strange because at first he very much treats her, Ada, like an animal, right?
Yeah.
He tries to feed her grass. Mm-hmm. But then, because he's like, this is fucked up, he takes her out.
Yeah.
And he's gonna fucking
Kill
her. And then he can't. And from that moment on, he acts like an uncle.
Yeah.
He takes her.
They all buy into this.
Yeah, he takes her fishing. He takes her on a tractor ride.
She sleeps on. She falls asleep on his lap.
And so even our character who came in and was like, "What is happening?"
just accepts it
relatively quickly. Accepts it.
How do you feel about that? I mean, like, okay, so like you told me that this movie, I don't know if we wanted to get into this later, but
Yeah,
it seems like the right time to get into it right now. You told me that this movie was written by a poet.
Yes,
and directed by
the director and a poet wrote it.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense because they see, but it's also like a folktale. I mean, it's like when you hear a fairy tale being told to you or like a folktale being told, you just accept things. Like when people say like, and the two little kids walked into the woods and they ran into a lady that lived in a house made of candy and she was a witch. And you're like, okay, like you just accept these things. And so this movie very much falls into that category,
I agree.
don't you think?
Yes. And I think part of it, at first I was like, well, this is crazy. Why all of a sudden is Peter, right? That's his name? Or Pieter or whatever.
Peter.
On board. And then part of me was like, well, okay, maybe he was blind at first and now he sees her for who she is.
Right.
Or beyond that, maybe we all tell ourselves whatever it is we need to tell ourselves in order to function.
Right.
Because he clearly, it seems like this dude has nowhere else to go.
Right.
Right? Like if his brother and his sister-in-law kick him out,
He has nowhere to go.
he has nowhere to go.
And also, this dude has it is suggested that he has a past with Maria.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That they clearly had slept together or something.
Right. And actually that's actually like the big thing in the movie. Like that's what brings us to like what happens at the end of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out he's like some 80s.
Dude, the video they shot is amazing.
They're watching, so they sit down to watch. Anyway, a happy family. He accepts Ada.
He's a great uncle all of a sudden.
All of a sudden, he's a great uncle. They're all happy. They sit down to watch the big handball game,
Yeah, man.
which I guess is a big thing
Huge.
in Iceland.
It's huge there, yeah.
And, you know, like a family, like, you know, we watch football over here and they're having snacks and whatever. And then, you know, they lose the game. Their team loses. And Ada's in and out of the room. And so Maria puts in a VHS tape of a video that Peter did like back in the day.
That's
and it's
so awesome.
It's a music video. It's just like such a random thing. I loved it so much. And he gets up and he starts dancing along with himself. And they all have a good time and they're drinking. And this is the point where I was like, these are bad parents.
Yes.
Like, I hate to say it. I hate to be this way. But I was like, I wonder what happened to Ada. And we only get the real Ada. Like,
Yes.
I wonder that we only get like one tiny scene where we think we know, like she might have drowned or she might have gotten lost in the fog or something because they were not vigilant.
And no, I think you're absolutely right, because I think there's a chunk of this movie, right, where you, in the early part, where you could say like, oh, well, maybe she had a miscarriage,
right,
or maybe the baby died right after childbirth.
She was sick or something.
Yeah, you know. But I think you're absolutely right. After the after the handball game, and then we have a weird quick cut to him yelling in the woods or by the river. They're shitty fucking parents.
Yeah, they are.
They left. That's my belief. They left their little girl unattended.
Right.
And because of guilt or whatever, have convinced themselves that this wasn't their fault.
Right.
But it was their fault.
It was their fault. And I think the beauty of this film is that you can take it for at face value. Hey, there's a baby that was born that was half a lamb, half a human, and this is the story of it. But you can also take it as a metaphor,
right?
Which, you know, a lot of horror movies are. Most horror movies are. You can watch it both ways.
Yeah.
And so it leads us to kind of like, so what is this movie saying? We can get through the rest of the movie and then talk about that if you want to.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much left.
There's not much left. It's really simple.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a really simple little fairy tale, folk tale.
Yeah. And I think part of what is so sort of stunning about it is that, and I think I'm just sort of envious of this. It's just so different than how I write. I mean, there's so little dialogue.
There's so little dialogue.
Like, it's stunning how little dialogue there is.
Right. So they're having this handball party, whatever.
Ingvar gets loaded. He has to go, he passes out. Yeah.
Ada is also asleep because it's at nighttime. And then Peter goes to Maria and he tries to get busy with her. Like, he tries to get all sexy. And she's like, please don't do that. That's over. Whatever. And then he threatens, he extorts her.
Yes. And that's when he reveals that he knows she killed the you. Yeah. Right?
She's like, does Ingvar know that you killed Ada's mother?
Yeah.
Real mother? And Maria freaks out and she's like, okay. So she tricks him.
Yeah.
Like, she seduces him and actually locks him in his own room.
Yeah.
Sleeps it off.
Yeah. Because he's also clearly drunk.
Right.
I mean, you got to get drunk during handball, Christy.
You do, man. Oh, and the other thing is that before the handball game, Peter has taken Ada fishing and they went in a tractor. Like, they drove up the mountain to a little lake in this tractor. And on the way back, the tractor ran out of gas or something.
Or oil
it
or
stalled
something.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
While that's happening, we get a love making scene.
Yeah, making love.
Between Maria and Ingvar, which didn't bother me.
No, and I think
it's this scene was not gratuitous and absolutely necessary to show us that now that Ada's here, like, this had been a thing in their life as a couple that was missing since the last Ada.
Yes, I think you're absolutely. I think there is reason to believe they have not fucked since
the baby died,
and now they get the benefit of now that
Peter's there
and he's a good uncle.
Yeah,
he's like, I'll take the kid fishing,
right,
like you do, and that'll give them a moment alone, and
so they have the best day.
Yeah.
Ada and Peter go fishing. Maria and Ingvar go fucking.
Yeah.
They watch handball and get loaded that night.
It's a great day. And she even says it like when Peter starts hitting on her, she's like, don't ruin
a great day. Yeah.
But yeah, so she tricks him. He sleeps it off. And in the morning, she's like, you're leaving.
You got to go.
Yeah.
So, it's a long way from the sheep farm to the road.
Yes, which is also my other favorite thing. It's like, we're going to go to this random country road, and at some point, a bus will come by.
Right.
You will wave at the bus, and that's how you catch
the bus. So weird,
yeah,
man.
I mean, there's only one major city in the entire nation, and that city is the size of Arlington. It's staggering. It makes the whole country, I shouldn't even say that. The city's smaller than Arlington. The whole country is the population of Arlington. It's like 350,000 people in the whole country.
Don't they have an app where you can, like, a dating app?
That is the rumor, to make sure you're not related.
To make sure you're not related.
Yeah, because they also don't have last names.
Right.
So, because, they use patronymics. Yeah. And so you don't, Anyway, but I love the idea of, like, you can catch a bus. You just got to go out to this fucking road.
Right. So they get in the Land Rover and she, like, gives him some money.
She gives him some money. And she's actually not a dick.
No, she's not a dick about it. None of them are dicks. This is the thing. They're not dicks. They're just shitty parents.
Even Peter, who is shitty, like.
Right. We don't know.
know.
Here's the thing. It's like, we know Peter and Maria have a history, but we don't know what brought that on. We don't know if they slept together before Maria got with Ingvar.
Right. After, we have no idea.
That's not important.
Right.
That's not the important thing. The important thing is that he has something to use on her because he wants to get with her again.
Sure.
That's the thing that makes him shitty.
Yeah. But even in the morning, he doesn't fight her.
No,
when she's like,
he knows it's true.
It's time to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, she drives him to this road. She gives him money that at first you kind of tell he doesn't want to take, and she makes him. He gets on the bus.
And he leaves.
And that's it. Exit Peter.
While that is happening. So while that is happening, Ingvar has woken up. And Ada has woken up. And they realize that Peter and Maria are gone. They don't know where they are gone, but it's like, okay. So Ingvar says, hey, Ada, do you want to go with Daddy to get the tractor?
Yeah.
Let's go get the tractor. And okay. So, and Ada doesn't talk. She makes noises.
Right.
She doesn't talk. And so they're walking up the country road to where the tractor is stalled. And on the way, I have a question about this.
Sure.
On the way, Ingvar is saying to her, if you ever get lost, all you have to do is listen for the river. Like, walk this way, make sure you have the mountain.
Yeah.
If it gets too foggy, all you have to do is listen for the river.
Yeah.
And follow the river, and then you'll know you're home.
Yeah.
And Ada's like, okay, whatever. But then what happens, Michael?
Well, real quick. So I think that's how real Ada died.
Yeah.
That they weren't paying attention.
Right.
She wandered off.
Got near the river.
Yeah, and got turned around in the fucking mist that seems to come along every day and fell into the river and died.
Yeah.
And so now he is correcting or trying to correct that mistake.
Right.
So if you ever do get out and you're alone and you're lost, this is how you find your way home.
Right.
Okay, great. And then a half man ram shows up and fucking shoots him.
Right. Exactly. It's so crazy because so you see them walking down the country road. Everything's great. Ada's going like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, this all makes sense.
Cuts back to Maria and Peter. He gets on the bus. La la la. Bye bye.
We're gonna be a happy family.
Cuts back to Ingvar and Ada, and he has been shot in the fucking throat.
Yes, by a half man dude.
By a ram.
Ram. Yes, half
head.
ram dude.
Yeah, like a very cut, very fit.
Oh yes,
half ram man.
We called him the king of the ram men, and that's what he looks like.
Yeah, and he's angry, Michael.
Yeah, you're goddamn right. He is, because they stole this child.
Right. Like that's what I mean. It's like at the beginning of the movie when the sheep rape happens.
Hashtag sheep rape.
Hashtag sheep rape. I thought he's coming back.
Yes.
He's coming back for his baby.
Yes. for his half lamb baby
to go back to wherever the king of the ram man lives.
Sure.
And he's going to be pissed when he comes home and the baby is wearing people clothes.
Yes.
Because he's naked.
Yeah. And ripped. As a half ram man, you got to stay cut, bro.
You got to be ripped.
Yeah. It's the...
And then so then he walks off up the mountain.
With Ada.
Ingvar's dying on the ground. Maria comes back, sees them both gone. She gets suspicious.
Yeah, she hears a gun, and then she hears a gunshot.
Yeah. She starts running. She knows where they are, and she finds Ingvar dead. And she's losing her mind, like anybody would.
Sure.
And then suddenly she gets real calm, and she looks up the mountain, and then there's kind of like an acceptance.
She sort of exhales.
Yeah.
And then credits. There it is. Yeah, I mean, I
know that we've told you the story of the movie, but it is totally worth going to watch
it. The plot of it, like, fuck, that's...
You know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
The point is to, like, the visuals in this film are stunning.
And then the way Ram Man is handled, like, it's so just like, whoa, wait, what the fuck just happened?
What did I just see?
Yeah. And I mean, I read an interview with I think it was the director, not the poet writer, but the director, who was like, he had been having dreams about.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because his mom had given him a dream journal.
Right.
And so he was writing down his dreams, and he kept having these dreams about these like half ram people fighting polar bears or some shit.
Like, ripping polar bears apart, like eating polar bears.
Like, okay, cool. I mean, honestly, it's been a long time since I've seen a movie where at the end I was just like, hold on, wait, what?
Yeah.
Which was rad. It was nice to feel that.
It felt, I mean, like, it was similar to me. It wasn't scary. I mean, it was discomforting. There was a lot of tension, like
from the jump.
From jump.
Yeah.
But it felt a little like Caveat in a way where you're sitting there going like, I have no idea where this is going.
Right.
But I am compelled to finish watching
this. Yeah. And I don't, I think, look, is it a horror movie? Sure. Is it not? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Is it fantasy? Is it folktale? Either way, I don't even really care. Like, you don't have to define it. It's lamb, dude. It is its own thing.
Lamb.
It's lamb.
Yeah. It and they categorize it as horror fantasy.
Yeah.
I think it really kind of like lives in folk horror.
Yeah, I agree.
And there is a huge resurgence right now, which I love because that's my favorite genre.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that is, the just like rampant destruction of nature.
Right.
That's taking place. I think another part of that is, like there's something about folk horror that seems intrinsically female to me. If you talk about Earth and things like that.
Yeah.
And so it's a way, I mean, God, if you look at Midsummer, Midsummer and stemming from The Wicker Man,
right?
Is this sort of huge middle finger to like male power, right? So I think that's part of it. I think in Iceland, man, the fucking glaciers are melting. Like the shit that's going on, and not necessarily in their own country, the shit that's going on around the world, heavily in America and Europe and China, is destroying their fucking country.
Yeah.
And so
this, Ram Man is coming back and taking back
what is his. Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it.
We all knew at some level that was going to happen.
Yes.
And I think that's what Maria's last gesture is, right? Is that she knew.
Yes.
Was not going to last.
Yeah, I mean, I think I read that interview, in that same interview.
The one that I sent you.
That she's interviewed, with the director, Numi Rapace, if we were saying. She says she approached the role that they had Ada on borrowed time. So even that she is approaching as an actor felt like there's no way this can last forever. And yeah, I mean, of course not. Of course, half ram dude, king of the ram men is coming back to take what's his.
Of course, humans are not going to last forever.
And I thought the choice, I thought it was such an interesting choice that he, half ram man, king of the ram men, kills Ingvar with a human weapon.
Yeah, he takes Ingvar's rifle and kills him with his own gun.
That. Because obviously King of the Rams could have just torn him apart.
Yeah.
But he chooses to kill him with a man-made weapon.
You reap what you sow, motherfucker.
Which I thought was really interesting. I mean, there's just a lot. There's a lot for me to really appreciate this film. Part of me was even the boldness of like, yeah, this is what we're doing.
No dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah. The boldness of like this, it's a really simple story. There is nothing hidden. There's no twist. It is just, this is the story I'm telling you, and this is how it went down.
Yeah.
I don't have all the information, but this is what happened.
This is it. This is what, yeah. And I just thought it was so bold. And even just like the idea of going into, I mean, I don't know how they got it made. They have government help over there, which is always a nice thing. But being like, yeah, we're going to make this movie about this half lamb baby. And people were like, yeah, great. Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Who do you got? And you're like, well, I got that one TV guy and then Numi, who's probably...
She's super famous.
Yeah.
I mean, she's internationally known now.
Yeah.
But you know, like,
and she's an exec on it, which, because I'm sure she really helped to get it made.
Like the vistas. Can I say the word vistas?
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to. The
vistas in this film, like there's one shot in particular where it's early in the film and Ingvar is out working on the farm and he's walking back home with the dog and there's a mountain behind him. Uh-huh. But like the relationship between him and the mountain, like the mountain is so big, so vast that he is walking, but the mountain is not, like, our perspective on the mountain is not changing
at all. Yeah.
It's just kind of like, I'm so huge. You are in me. And I think that's part of it. It's this kind of like, you think that you can dismiss these folktales. You think you can dismiss, folktales are born out of something, y'all.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And you think you can dismiss nature, and nature goes,
no,
you live in me.
Yeah. And I was texting with you last night and like, look, I know I obviously talk about Iceland a lot, but like it really, I mean, it was life-changing to go there. I've never seen anything like it. And when we left the city, I mean, this Reykjavik's cool. It's just like a cool city.
Yeah.
You know, it's like fucking Björk and Sigur Rós are there or whatever.
Right.
But like when we went to this place called the Snæfellsnes Peninsula and there was like we're staying in this cabin, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's just this giant fucking mountain in our backyard. And you would go out at like 11 at night and it was still everything. Light. It wasn't, you know, it looked like dusk would here. Right. And there's, I mean, it's, you can't, I texted you, I was like, it sounds goofy, but it is otherworldly. It is otherworldly. And they refer to nature over there as the nature. Mm-hmm. So like when you go out into the nature and they don't build things like we do, even places that are tourist heavy, there's like, here's a rope. Don't cross the rope,
right?
Or you might fucking die,
right?
There's not 19 guides. There's not a fucking restaurant that popped up. They're like, you can enjoy this waterfall. Don't be a fucking idiot,
right? There's also things where it's like, do not step on these plants because these plants have remained unchanged for thousands millions of years.
Yeah,
and if you step on them, motherfucker, you will fuck up the ecosystem.
Yeah, so don't fucking do it,
or you'll be arrested.
Yeah,
you know, I read this article last week about how Hawaii is doing something similar,
which is
you were talking so about. Awesome.
It's great.
During lockdown, you know, clearly people couldn't go over there, and so a lot of the businesses, like tourist-based businesses, that were run by people who were mainlanders shut down, right? And so a lot of mainland businesses had to leave and left the Hawaiian Islands in the hands of the natives,
Native Hawaiians,
which
yeah.
should have been always like
Sure.
that. And they did something really smart. Like they changed their entire like tourist bureau approach and put natives on the board of this tourist bureau,
Right.
whatever. And so everything is now changing. Everything that you go to Hawaii for is now history based. So you can't just fucking go and dive in the ocean and do whatever the fuck you want. If you're
yeah.
going to go snorkeling, then you have to take a class on the coral reef and why it's important.
And why
right?
you can't fuck with it.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're going to like, if you go and stay in a fancy hotel and they are providing like cultural entertainment, all of that is now completely changed because all the bullshit about like grass skirts and twirling fire, that's shit that we think
Right.
is Hawaiian, right?
It's like the
Because,
Disney
like,
version
yeah,
of
back in the
Hollywood
day,
version. Yeah.
back in the day, like when it was first being colonized, of course, like Eurocentric Protestant people were like, that is, we can't see people not clothed, right?
Sure.
It's indecent to see them the way they actually dress. So make them put on a grass skirt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, grass skirts aren't actually Hawaiian. So they've like done away with all that. And it's like everything that you see now is going to be actually authentic native stuff.
I know places like Iceland and Hawaii and other places like you have to like tourism is a huge part of their income or economy, right?
Yeah.
But like if Hawaii is doing that, the way Iceland is like they have found a balance.
Right.
Like people still are going to go to Hawaii.
Of
it's
course.
fucking incredible.
Right. They're
People
just
are
like,
gonna
they're
go to
just cutting
Iceland.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also like, hey, you can also come here and not fuck up this beautiful scenery.
Right.
You could just look at it.
They're doing like with national parks and stuff. They're kind of like, whereas before there were some like beaches where they would allow 3,000 people a day to come through. There are certain beaches and certain national parks where it's like only 750
Right.
people can go through and you have to book an appointment.
So you're not going to destroy this place.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, I think to tie it back to the movie, I mean, I think that's a huge part of the movie,
Yeah.
right?
I think that's a big part of what they're saying.
Yeah. And that humans take what they want for whatever reason to make themselves feel better, without thought of anything else.
Yeah.
And it will come back to haunt them.
Right. Whether you believe in Ram Men or not.
Yeah, whether Ram Man believes in you,
Right.
and he is coming for you.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the whole Christian, Lutheran thing, right? Where versus nature or paganism or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, come on. You can say whatever you want, but believing in a guy who was crucified on a cross and then flew into the sky and came back 3 days later or whatever is just like believing in Ram Man.
Yes,
Sorry, y'all.
I mean, this is what I've been saying for years.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, of course. And
so like the I don't know, the arrogance of thinking that yours is better.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously it's a thing everywhere, and it's interesting there, especially in Iceland and I guess parts of Scandinavia, just because like in terms of Northern Europe, I mean, they do have a pretty well detailed pagan past,
right?
And then at the same time, there's this huge influx of Christianity. And I mean, even in Reykjavik, there's a awesome looking church. I think it's Hallgrímskirkja, that sort of looms over the city, mixed in with like
all the pagan stuff.
Yeah, all the Vikings. It's such a weird, I don't know, it's a weird combo. And so I think there's some of that in the movie. I think like also one thing you texted me, which is I think is totally in the movie, is just like people are garbage.
Yeah.
And I think you see that in like you said, the way that you meet Peter, he's just fucking chucked out of that car.
Yeah.
He might as well be a bag of fucking fast food.
And they don't care.
Right.
They don't care. People are like, they just throw him on the side of the road. They throw his fucking cell phone on the side of the road and they get back in the car and people are garbage. That's what we are.
Yeah. And I mean, is there a more sort of just like stereotypical version of being garbage than fucking your brother's wife?
Right.
I mean, in terms of like what is manhood and what makes a good man, like that's the fucking unforgivable. Like, come on. Come on.
It's kind of biblical.
Yes. And, you know, at the same time, you also said they're shitty parents. And yeah, she needs to feel better. But also, like, why did you let your kid just fucking wander out to the goddamn river?
Right.
Like,
I know. And it's like, I know it sounds harsh, y'all, but I'm going, they don't give you a lot of information. They don't give you, so you're
purposefully,
and you're left to extrapolate from what you are given.
Yeah.
Who these people are and whatever. And okay, they seem like okay people, but also they live out in the wilderness. There's nobody else to be shitty to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So it's different than, I don't know, maybe if we put Maria and Ingvar in the city, they would be shitty people.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
They only have sheep and mountains to interact with. And from the information that we get, you're just kind of like, yeah, I mean, they should have been paying attention.
Yes.
And they were not.
They were not paying attention. And ultimately,
you got a second chance.
And you still didn't pay attention.
And you still fucked it up.
Yeah. And I think that, to me, is the takeaway. I don't know if that was the takeaway that the director and his poet friend intended, but that seemed very clear to me.
Yeah, they asked, that interview that I sent you, they asked the director, they asked him, what do you think? And it's like real clickbait. End of Lamb explained. Yeah, sure. And so I'm like, okay. And actually the director goes like, I don't know what you're going to take away from it. I think everybody should take away something different from it.
To me, that's always the best answer. And you know, it's an answer that Lynch has always given, you know, and I know we always bring up Lynch, but like,
we should always bring up Lynch.
Always bring up. And while this is different, this is like, along with Lynch, like I fill in the blanks, you know? So I don't think he needs to answer a goddamn thing. And he even said himself, he's like, I see it. Each time I see it, maybe I catch something different. We don't need all the answers. At the same time, I think it's really well acted.
Oh, yeah. It's beautifully shot.
Beautifully shot. The sheep do the work.
Oh, God. Where did they get these sheep?
The dog and the cat do the work.
Damn. There's that one shot of the kitty just like in the field. Like the kitty gets out of the house because shit's going down. And then there's a shot of the kitty like out in the meadow and it just kind of like lifts its head up above the grass. And I'm like, that cat's doing the work.
Cat is doing the work.
And that you...
Oh, so good.
Heartbreaking.
And the three leads, they're the only ones who talk.
Yeah.
They're all really good. And
I want to, but that had to be a child with a CGI lamb head on it. I want to know who the child is.
And the little kid, whoever was doing that was great.
And I want to know who Ram Man is. I want to know who that body belongs to.
The handsomest man in the world. That's who Ram Man is.
You know, if I have to choose between Flyaway Jesus and Ram Man.
Yeah.
Come
on, man. Ram Man and Black Phillip are basically going to win every time.
All the time.
Yeah. And obviously, like you said, she's internationally famous, right? I only know
that guy.
Yeah, Bjorn Haraldson.
What show is he on?
He's on a show called The Cliff, which is 2 seasons. Season 2 in America, for some reason, is called The Lava Field, but the show is called The Cliff. He's also in the Will Ferrell movie where they're in Iceland.
In the music festival.
Yeah, and so like... Which was something I brought up, is like all three of them have performed in English in major movies.
Right.
And I love the idea that they were like, no, this is an Icelandic movie.
Right.
And
I bet you they all perform in different movies across across Europe.
Yeah.
Because Europeans know 6 fucking languages and we don't because we're idiots.
Yeah.
We're
Man,
garbage.
you know one more than most people. So I thought the three of them were great and worked well together. And, you know, you could say like, oh, they didn't have dialogue. That can be harder.
That is harder.
You know, like you have to, she's so good at, I don't know, like fucking tilting her head or just those like little film things.
That is like film, being an actor in a film is a completely different skill set. And when you see someone who's really, really, really good at it, you don't realize
all that they're doing. And then and I was talking to Aspen about this last night, like part of the thing that still fascinates me about movie making is like the literal like practical shit they had to do.
Right.
And then I read like, oh, she grew up on a farm.
Right. She's probably birthed, not birthed sheep herself.
But has been,
but has helped.
And like a lot of what he does is like, I deal with this hay. or I have to drive. And it's like, there's a lot of like weird practical shit that they have to do in this film. That's like, not everyone can look natural. Fucking
cheering on a handball game.
Yes, exactly. No one can look natural.
No one can look natural.
But like, yeah, delivering a lamb.
Right.
Like if they were like, Federico, we need you. I'd be like, well, I'm out, and I appreciate the opportunity, but you can hire someone
they have
else.
to put, she has to put her hands up that that sheep's vagina.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe for enough money. No,
Maybe for
I
enough
would
money.
ruin it.
I would totally do it. I believe in you. I think you could do it.
As the cosmic egg.
As the cosmic egg.
So yeah, I don't know. Is this movie for everyone? I'm not sure, but it's bold as shit, and you should go see it.
We talked about it a lot, which kind of like didn't leave us a lot of time for the thing that I wanted to ask you. That really, really, I get mad often at the way movies are made in the United States now, because everything seems to be about money and comic book heroes.
Yeah,
and I'd have no desire to go see blockbuster films in the United States anymore unless it's a horror movie, right? Because you don't get films like this that are American, like super independent little films, like maybe Ghost Story that was made here, in Texas, like a few years ago, and it was really lovely.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Little things like that.
Yeah,
but is this like a hearkening back? Like, do you think, because I mean, this is a tradition in Nordic filmmaking, slow storytelling, but like, do you think we're at a point, or that we're going to get to a point here in this country where we're like, man, we should make movies like we did in the 70s?
Man, that's a great question.
When are we going to do that?
I don't know. And I think it's harder. Now, like, yeah, you have a movie like Ghost Story directed by David Lowery, who also just like did The Green Knight. But even Ghost Story, which I fucking love, it's one of my favorite movies. You know, he knew Casey Affleck from a different project.
Right.
He knew Rooney Mara, the other girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah, weird.
Rooney Mara from another project. Is Casey Affleck Ben Affleck? No, but he's a fucking star.
Yeah, he's a better actor than Ben Affleck.
I absolutely agree. And I think Ben would agree as well. But like, even David Lowery, to get that movie made at the scale he wanted to make it, he still had to get two legitimately known actors, right? Can you make smaller films and get them streaming? Yes, I think you can. But if you stick around for the credits of Lamb, they got money from the Icelandic government. They got money from the Swedish government.
And so many people to thank.
And and all of those people. And they even got money, I believe, from the Polish government. So like, there is, and this is what we said with Caveat, that got money from the Irish government. There is a level of support for these smaller or mid-level films, because this was not a cheap movie,
not at all.
That we do not give here. We just don't. And like, it's fucking sad.
Like someone like you and me, right? Who we all Dallas talent, making a movie here in Dallas with all Dallas talent, promoting that industry in our own town, using people from the film industry and from the theater community. I don't think the government gives a shit.
No. And I think at the end of the day, it's a really sad fucking thing. And I think you and I talk about this, like, it's why so much European TV is better too.
Right.
It's like they actually have support. I have looked into trying to shoot a movie in Iceland because I'm obsessed with Iceland. I'm not from there, so they don't really want to give me money. But like, they are actively, as a nation, supporting artists and filmmakers.
Right.
Ireland is doing the same.
That's how Spain does it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I imagine Spain and Italy do the same. We don't do it. And people are like, well, there are grants. It's not enough.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I mean, for a movie to come out in a theater here, I mean, it better star Iron Man or some shit.
Right.
Because if it doesn't, I mean, I love when they're like, the movie tanked at the box office. It made 73 million its opening weekend. Like, that's insane.
Right.
And that is, I don't think, other than us and maybe like the Brits, Lamb didn't have to. I'm sure it made its money back because it was released internationally. But if it didn't, I don't think anyone's going to be like,
I don't think
this man will never fucking work in this town again.
Exactly.
Whereas here, they're like, fuck you. You lost me $1 million. You're done.
Right.
You know?
Oh, well.
It's frustrating. And it's why I don't know. It's why we got to get out.
Yeah. What a world we live in. What a time to be alive.
Go see Lamb.
Go see Lamb. Thank you, Jim John McNoise, for our theme song. Please visit us on our website and our Facebook page. We have more St. Taco news and more codes to go get like awesome, amazing, delicious food at St. Taco at a discount price. And what are we going to watch? I hope we get to watch Scream.
Yeah, hopefully the goal is to see the new Scream, and that'll be next. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
And I swear Patreon's going to be a thing. It's just fucking life.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Omicron,
y'all. So yeah, still check out the Patreon. Go get a deal. Go to St. Taco. Eat delicious tacos. If you've seen Scream, don't tell us about it.
Don't tell us about it.
Don't spoil it.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.